Welcome back to Ozarks Live. It's time to return to the islands of Fiji once again to talk all things Survivor.
Yes, and we're just right in the middle of it. I can't believe there's already 3 people gone.
Already
it feels like the season's just moving along.
I know.
It's really...
Seems like the last season just ended.
Yeah. I was telling Cami just before this, I don't think this episode was super exciting, but we did see some interesting kind of like gameplay and different cast member dynamics this time from the different tribe camps. So the first thing I want to point out, high on the Green tribe, there's this whole moment where Jenny and Chanel find a crab and they catch it and they're like really excited, and so they start cooking it. But then High reveals that he is vegan.
Yeah.
And he eventually eats the crab, which is really interesting. So he goes against his own diet. But that's something that really had me thinking while watching this episode. I'm like, I wonder how this affects people who do go on this show who have certain diets that maybe living on that island don't necessarily meet.
Well, and he actually said that he would have to forgive himself later. And so that kind of implies to me that there's more going on than just a dietary choice, that maybe there's some kind of conviction there that he, you know, is why he's doing it like that. And they also went on to talk about religion and things like that. And you find that, you know, some people are talking about different religions. And it was refreshing that they were not judgmental. I loved that they let each other talk. They still respected each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't remember if it was this episode or the one before, remind me, but Omar reveals that he's Muslim. And so, yeah, religion definitely comes into play and how he had to have his own kind of like prayer area, which I thought was really interesting. But then his tribe came together and helped him, which was really cool to see.
And there's a few that are Christian. So obviously that's very, very different beliefs. But they are helping each other and respecting that.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting to see where kind of like your personal beliefs and diets and other things like conflict with literally survival on this island.
Well, I mean, at surface value, you're just going to an island and playing a game, right? But I mean, there's so much more that plays into it. And speaking of diet, I mean, I have worried about that because I would love to be on the show, but there's so many dietary restrictions that I have that I've thought about. I mean, you have to plan for those things.
Absolutely, and it really is so interesting. And so I was glad to see that play out this time. Now, on the gameplay side of things, we see that Mike, also in the Green Tribe, finds the first idol of this season. At least I believe it's the first idol. And the phrase twist is back. So essentially there's one on each tribe camp, and at the immunity or reward challenge, whichever they prefer, I think it's maybe immunity, they have to say this like really odd phrase, and then once all 3 idols are revealed with their phrases, and the idols become valid. But
these are the bizarre phrases like don't the trees look like broccoli or something weird
and
like
this one's something about like, oh, I would just love to play soccer, to play soccer again, or something like, it's like so, it's like the goofiest thing.
That you will feel stupid saying if the other people don't have theirs as well. And everybody's like, what?
Yes, and it's interesting because also when you find these idols, you also lose your vote. So Mike doesn't get a vote if they go to tribal.
You can play it,
until you can play
so
it.
So it could be weeks until he can vote again.
Yes, so it's very interesting. Now switching the orange camp, so we're kind of going all over these camps today. We see this kind of unlikely duo bromance form of Omar and Jonathan, so kind of like the brains and the brawn, which is interesting.
It's so cute.
Yes, it was a great little segment they did on it, and this is very common in Survivor. We've seen this a lot in the past. Probably the most standout one is Stephen Fishbach and JT back from Token Cheese, which is like season, I don't know, somewhere in the teens.
I missed that one,
But it was the same thing where it was kind of like a brains and brawn situation, and they were the final 2. So I always love to see those kind of duos form, and so it's interesting to see that relationship form so early on at this camp. So I loved that. Now, one of the kind of more special moments this episode is that Mariah reveals that her brother actually was the first nurse in the U.S. that died from COVID-19 in New York.
Keep in mind, this was filmed almost a year ago, so COVID, we weren't quite over as much of a hump as we are now.
So she definitely was still reeling a lot from that. Absolutely. And she had this really special necklace, and I believe his ashes were inside of it. And her plan while out there was to bury it on the beach to definitely kind of just like have her own individual piece with it and goodbye, which I thought was really special. And I just love to see when people open up like that, and like her entire tribe was very kind of accepting of that, and you know, very comforting too. And those are those humanistic, like we always talk about, those humanistic moments that I love to see in this like huge game.
Well, and it's really interesting because, you know, other members of her tribe, I don't think they really cared for her until they heard that story. And when, I mean, isn't that the truth though? When we hear other people's stories, that's when we do get invested in them and think, oh, they really are human, and here's what they're struggling with.
Absolutely. So getting back into gameplay, so we get to the immunity challenge. This one was crazy. It was like one where they were blindfolded and they were guided through a different, this whole challenge.
Mass chaos.
It was mass chaos, but it was great as the viewer.
It was hilarious.
Hilarious to watch, yes.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we see Orange lose immunity, which also means they lose their flint and they go to tribal.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like the editing of this makes it seem like the decision is between Marianne and Mariah.
I really felt like the editing even showed more that it was going to completely be Marianne.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely made it seem like
They
that.
showed how everyone was annoyed by her perky attitude. She's just adorable, by the way. She's funny. She is, entertainment at this point.
I am so pro Marianne. I think she is hilarious.
And she's just a good person.
She's a good person. She's a great character for this show. She's so excited about everything, which I think some of her tribe mates find annoying. But as a viewer, I'm like, it's great to see.
Right, but I was absolutely convinced that she was getting voted out.
I know.
And then
Mariah got voted out unanimously.
Well, right when we get to know something about her and we start hearing, she's voted out.
But interesting enough, she also used her shot in the dark, which was interesting because last week Zach got sent home and he used his, which it's nice to see.
It's not working out.
It's not working out.
Well,
so
there's a
far.
1 in 6 chance.
Yes.
So that's why it's not working out.
But it is interesting to see it being played out because last season I think we only saw it used one time.
Right.
So I'd like to see that twist played out, and I would love to see it finally work on somebody. I think that would be so fascinating.
Yeah. Catch the next episode of Survivor 42 right here on Color 10.
That's right. Or catch up on this season and old seasons on Paramount Plus or CBS.com.
We'll be right back.